Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, once again for making time to be here today. As usual, we got a lot of updates to go through, but we do have another special guest speaker, Jasmine McKinney from our Procurement and Technical Assistance Center. Grateful to have the partnership with Jasmine and Sam Fountain to be able to help our companies in Shiawassee County understand opportunities for working with the government, contracts, new relationships, partnerships, things of that nature. They actually were very helpful a couple days ago. We had a manufacturer in Shiawassee County that's looking to do something in the medical arena and needed to get some connections with federal agencies. And thankful to Jasmine and Sam for jumping on a call and working with them, and just very, very helpful for us. So I wanted to have Jasmine to come on today and give an update on what's happening with PTech, what opportunities are available potentially in that medical world or anything else federal government-wise. As we know, as of right now, the federal government is really the one agency or business or whatever organization in the country that's really spending money with everything happening. So with that, Jasmine, I'll give you the floor.
Hi, Justin. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Justin, you did a great job of doing an overview of PTech. I would just say to echo what you just said about the federal government still purchasing. And that's what happens when we have economic downturn. Our government, whether it be state, local, but especially the federal government, because outside of this crisis, they are the largest purchaser in the world, but obviously within the crisis, or obviously as we're being impacted by this crisis, they continue to purchase and purchase in large numbers. So I just did a slight overview. If people are interested in supplying PPE to the federal government, there are about 6 agencies that are currently purchasing PPE. They are doing what is called a sources sought notice, or RFI, request for information. They want to know who these businesses are. And so the one thing that, because a lot of businesses that are now supplying to the federal government were not set up originally to, this might be their first time working with the federal government. So I strongly encourage any business that is retooling, looking to supply ventilators, gloves, masks, anything that the government might be purchasing at this time. And even outside of just those things that we know, right, like the PPE and the ventilators, they're also still purchasing other things as well. So that might be something for exploration that you would be interested in. PTech is here to assist you to make sure that you are a registered vendor and able to bid on those opportunities, able to even respond to the RFI. There are certain things that you have to go through prior to being able to successfully respond to even a request for information. So our program is working day and night, literally, to make sure that all of the businesses that are in contact with us have the information that they need in order to be successful in that space and help us in this crisis that we're all in. The other thing, I know that really quickly, so we also help with state and local opportunities, and we've seen everyone purchasing PPE, whether it be the state government, local government, our transportation authorities, you know, those workers that are still going out, they have to be protected as well. So those entities are doing a lot of purchasing as well. Don't want to forget about that. And then the other thing is that once we get out of this crisis, the federal government will continue to spend money in large volume to make sure that the economy is kind of buoyed up. And so want people to, businesses especially, as you try and navigate what this looks like on the other side, once we're able to go outside and still be a part of society, consider PTech as a resource. You don't have to commit to anything. We can do some market research for you to see if it makes sense, if it's a fit. and try and make sure that you have those opportunities as we move into recovery as well. I do want to highlight that we have a few upcoming webinars. We have a government marketing webinar that is coming up this coming Wednesday, I believe. The 15th of April, all the days are kind of blending together. That is going to be from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., where we do a deep dive on government marketing, things that you need to have in order to be successful. We have a government contracting 101 coming up the following day, so April 16th, again from 9 to 11, where we go over the basics of what you need in order to be a successful contractor. And then we have, at the end of the month, we have an understanding solicitations and preparing proposals with a former contracting officer out of the Department of Veteran Affairs. That is a limited webinar. It's an all-day webinar on the 29th, but it's limited in terms of space. I think we have 100 slots, and we right now are at 60 registered. So if you are interested in any of those opportunities, please reach out to our office and we'll get you registered. And then the other thing, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. We are working collaboratively. So the PTechs in the state of Michigan we have 10 regional centers throughout the state of Michigan. And so we're working collaboratively with our partners to bring opportunities to our clients collectively. And so we have an additional webinar on this coming April 15th, Wednesday, April 15th, called COVID-19 CARES Act Supporting Federal Contractors. And it's a guide for small business defense, for the small business defense industrial base. We've partnered with Butzel Long for that, a law firm out of Detroit, southeastern Michigan, to bring that information to businesses in the state of Michigan. So if you would like information on that webinar, I can make that available as well. I know I sent it over to Justin, so he has the information as well.
Thank you, Jasmine. A couple things maybe to mention. Can you talk about the bid match program?
Sure. So we have a bid match program that we put in the company's capabilities, and it populates an email to you on a daily basis to that company. We can put in multiple email addresses, and that sends those opportunities directly to the company. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this. I think it's understood, but I want to make sure that everyone knows our services are of no cost. Your tax dollars have paid for them. And so we operate the bid match service is no cost. Any kind of counseling that you receive from our office is of no cost, and all of the webinars that we're offering are no cost as well.
Their tax dollars at work, right?
Yes, sir.
The other thing that I'm actually emailing the list, so you guys are going to be getting a couple emails from me. I'm sending out the notice on that webinar on the 15th right now, Jasmine.
Perfect.
But can you talk about this? You also sent me some information which I'm passing along, this PTech Playbook.
Yes. So the PTechs of Michigan, again, we wanted to centralize information to our clients and try and make it easy. So we are doing a playbook weekly for our clients. At the top of the playbook, you'll see all the updated information over the past week. So on there, we have specific contracting updates. So request from FEMA, which is, I talked about that a little bit earlier in terms of them purchasing supplies. The Federal Aviation Administration has urgent need for purchasing PPE. They have actually a questionnaire out where you put your information into this questionnaire based on the information that they're seeking as they're trying to collect information about businesses that can supply goods and services to the Federal Aviation Administration. DOD has some guidance out about face coverings, so we have a link for that. And then again, Department of Defense is definitely leading the way. So they have commissioned a joint acquisition task force to make sure that we have some cohesion, I guess you would say, in the acquisition of protective gear. So whether it be surgical masks, medical gowns, latex gloves, respirators, they pulled together a team to make sure that there's not duplication or overlap. Unfortunately, I think there still will be, because you have on top of the Department of Defense that is acquiring these protective gear. You have FEMA that is also doing it, Department of Homeland Security, FAA. So I think DOD is trying to streamline it across the military. So, and then we just have a bunch of other resources regarding FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security. And then obviously, as this crisis has affected our daily lives, it's affecting certifications on the federal level. So if anyone on the line or anyone you know is a certified veteran, owns small business, there is some guidance regarding recertification at this time right now. So we have a link to that information as well. There's been some changes in the hub zone. I know that Owasso, not Owasso, but Shiawassee has previously been a hub zone. I would say that we can look for probably the entire United States to be a hub zone. When Governor Whitmer declared the entire state under disaster, that opens up some doors for the hub zone opportunities to be more widespread throughout our state. So we should look for that, and I will keep you updated, of course, Justin, and anybody else on the line with any kind of information that I have regarding that. And hub zone stands for historically underutilized business zone, and so it's where a business is located in a hub zone, and then 35% of employees work in that hub zone. Hub zone businesses are eligible for set-aside opportunities as well as sole source opportunities, where the government can come direct to you under a certain dollar threshold to acquire goods and services. So it will open up lots of doors for contracting opportunities once that is declared or announced by the SBA on the new hub zone map. So more to come.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Jasmine. And you can stick around. There may be some questions. I know there's a couple of regulars on the conference call that have a possible line on some PPE. They might be interested in working with you on some of those contracting opportunities. So, if you have questions, please stay on the line, and we'll cover those here in just a little bit. Jody in our office has several updates to provide. Jody, do you want to jump on?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've been getting a lot of questions regarding a lot of different topics, but a lot on unemployment. So I actually called the UIA office yesterday. I will tell you that I waited hours and hours to get through. I kept trying. And when I did get through, I was able to leave my number, and they said I would get a call back at least 2 hours from then. It was about 4 hours later. So you have to be persistent when you're calling. I understand it's frustrating and it's not always easy to get through, but I did end up getting a call back actually after their hours yesterday. They closed at 6, and I got the call at about 6:30. So if you're persistent, you can probably get through. I did find out that they are pretty sure self-employed individuals will be able to start filing next week. I know we've been watching the site and trying to keep you guys updated. They don't have an exact date, but they believe that next week that should open up. And I know a lot of people have been asking about the additional $600 on top of the federal money on top of the state unemployment. And it looks like employees will be retroactively paid for the week ending April 4th. And it's expected that payments of the additional $600 will begin after April 10th. They are asking that you allow for at least 7 days after that before calling the UIA, because it is going to take a little while for everything to catch up in the system, because there are, from what they said, over 900,000 claims at this time that they're trying to deal with. I did get some specific questions yesterday on the WorkShare program, and it was information that was being looked for that wasn't on any of the websites that they have. So I did try getting some information about WorkShare through the agent that I talked to at MyWAM, or at UIA, I'm sorry. She said to direct anybody, so if any of you are interested in the WorkShare program and have questions that you can't get answered by looking at the fact sheets and the website, she recommends logging into your MyWAM account, your business MyWAM, and using the chat. Now, I know from my son's personal experience, we couldn't get into the chat for his own unemployment yesterday, so I did ask about that. We were told that you don't want to wait until even noon. The earlier you can get in, the better, because you do go into a queue, and at some point that queue does get too full, and it will just kick you out. If you call on the phone and the queue is full, it will just disconnect you, and there's no way to actually link to the chat if that queue is full. So she said as early in the day as you can possibly get on to try. That's going to be your best option to log in and go through the chat. Again, you may not get in the first day, but be persistent. When I actually talked to somebody, I followed the prompts to get in to speak to somebody about the business aspects of unemployment. So if you are trying to get questions answered about your business, there are different prompts that you can follow, and they have completely separate people working on the business portion. So try that. If you need to actually speak with somebody, follow the prompts and enter as a business. They will not answer any personal questions on that line, so make sure you are asking about business-related issues, but they should help. What's next? We're getting a lot of questions about help for landlords. I have done a lot of digging. I'm not finding much other than I was on a call earlier in the week where they mentioned that the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan through the SBA, has been opened up to help landlords. So you can apply for that through the SBA.gov website. But at this time, it's the only thing I'm seeing that is there to help the landlords right now. So that's maybe something to check into if you do have questions and you are a landlord or you're needing some help. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, Justin. Is there anything else you can think of?
Yeah. Do you want to mention anything on the SBDC webinar coming up? I sent an email on it earlier.
Yep. So the SBDC has webinars. I know we've told you about them. Anytime they're coming up, I did send Justin information to pass along. Today they have another open forum. They did this last Friday as well. And the whole point of this open forum is to take questions on, their examples are cash flow, employee concerns, SBA disaster loan program, remote work, online sales, and any other pressing matters affecting you during this crisis. So they're basically trying to answer any questions that they couldn't cover during their regular webinars. If you click on the link that Justin sent you, it will let you register ahead of time. And there is an area at the bottom of that registration page where you can provide questions that you might have, and they try to answer as many of the questions that are sent to them as they can on the call. I think it does limit, because I actually sent some questions yesterday, it limits the number of characters. I think it's like 128 characters. So you have to, be really concise in your questions. It's got to be short. But it may be a good way to get some of these questions answered that are that have been difficult to find. I know I've been doing a lot of research, and I think a lot of the answers to the questions that some people are asking are just not there yet because things haven't quite caught up. So I'll continue to keep looking, use the resources, the SBDC webinars, calling UIA if you have questions. You just have to kind of, especially with the UIA, be a little bit patient and try early in the morning to get through. But I think that's it.
Okay, and once again, Jody, a lot of good information. There might be some questions on that. Let's hold those to the end and then jump on then with any of those questions. All right, a few more things I want to hit real quick. I sent everybody out an email last night. It was from our friends at the Detroit Regional Partnership. It said Regional Perception Survey. I know this is a very challenging time for everybody right now, but it would be very helpful if you could take a minute and just review that and maybe answer the questions that are in there. And let me tell you why I think it's important. You know, for those of you, some of you know about this, not all of you, so I'll mention it. We have a great partnership with the Detroit Regional Partnership. It's an 11-county region that is working to attract new business opportunities from around the country and around the world into our region. It's been wonderful for Shiawassee County to be part of it because it helps put us on the map nationally and globally, where we couldn't get any attention in that regard from business prospects. We can through this. So it's been a wonderful group. Barry Matherly, some of you probably know Barry. He's built out a great team around him. They're doing some great work. Obviously, things are challenged right now with everything happening. But one of the things we want to be able to do coming out of this is to be able to attract more opportunities from around the country and around the world. You've heard me talk about this quite a bit in the last week or so, that coming out of the crisis, we need to be more aggressive in attracting, you know, things like medical product manufacturing, which has been done overseas in places like China. We need to bring some of that opportunity back to America. And I think Michigan, and particularly our region, are perfectly positioned for that. So having the support, the infrastructure of the Detroit Regional Partnership is critical for us. So I think there's some great opportunity there for the future, and you taking some time to fill out that survey would be very helpful for us as we move forward as a group and trying to position ourselves for these opportunities, understanding our strengths, weaknesses, and all that. Once again, knowing we're under the problem that we have now, we know this is not necessarily a top priority, but if you have a few minutes, it would be very helpful for us and for the region coming out of this to have your input on that. So please take a minute and look at that email, and if you have any questions, let me know. MEDC updates. I know several of you have been asking about this. I try to give a daily update. So the grants hopefully will be completed today. The reason why we haven't announced the grant recipients yet is that they don't all have their paperwork in. They need to sign some documentation. And so we had just one or two remaining, and hopefully that'll be done today. And then we will work with our partners at the Shiawassee Regional Chamber and the Small Business Development Center to announce those recipients, all of their names. The loans are getting much closer as well. In fact, we've been requested to get paperwork in and recommendations into the Michigan Economic Development Corporation yet today. So hopefully they'll take that information and then process it, hopefully as soon as next week. So any of you waiting for MEDC loans, that is coming forward too. The big federal programs, probably the biggest update I have, and I had a electronic communication with one of my colleagues, Dennis Murphy, earlier this morning on this. The biggest concern right now is actually not the PPP. I mean, that is a major concern, but the EIDL, the Disaster Recovery Loan Program. Some of you have already applied. Actually, it's a good thing you've already applied, and I'll tell you why in a second. Some of you have not and are looking at it. Basically, we gained an understanding from our friends at the Small Business Development Center and a couple of other resources yesterday that due to huge demand, not surprising, they are no longer able to offer the maximum of $2 million to be able to get in that program. In fact, they've reduced it, at least for the time being, all the way down to $15,000. Now, a couple things on that. Anyone in the pipeline, we're being told, it's still eligible to get what you asked for. Now, I can't confirm that, but it sounds like if you're already in the system, you should be okay. But it sounds like if you have made a new request or if you're going to make a new request, you can't get more than 15. Now, that is also in addition, you probably heard us talk about this, it's in addition to the $10,000 advance. So that advance grant that we talked about that you can get. So I guess that would be a total of $25,000. But that is a huge, huge thing because, and once again, some of you on the phone have applied for these dollars. That program can be used for things other than the PPP. So PPP obviously is very payroll focused, but things like inventory for a business, you can't use the PPP for that. You can use it for some other stuff like rent and utilities, but not inventory. So a number of companies are going for both. So major issue, major problem. I don't know why in the stimulus package they didn't see that coming. Obviously, they focused their attention on PPP. But once we learned about this yesterday, I personally reached out to representatives from Congressman Molinar and Senator Peters in Stabenow's office to alert them to this. So hopefully they will be on it. And as you probably all heard, they're talking about the next stimulus package. Hopefully that'll get included and it'll allow businesses to apply for more because $15,000 is not going to get a lot of companies a long way, particularly if you're doing things like buying inventory. PPP, yesterday was actually a fairly quiet day. My sense right now is, and think about it this way, the awareness of the program is really high. I would say in Shiawassee County, 95%, maybe more, of the businesses that I've talked to are aware of it. So that's good news. Most are applying. In fact, I don't know maybe hardly any that are not applying. That's a great thing. The reason why I don't have a lot of update on it is it sounds to me like just about everybody has got in the queue. So just about all of our clients we've talked to have got with their bank or their credit union, have filled out the paperwork, and are at some point in that process. Maybe you just hit, one milestone. Maybe you're waiting on the money to get in the checking account. But most people I'm talking to are in there. So my sense is for most companies, we're at a sort of a wait position, wait to hear the next steps from SBA, wait to hear the next steps from your bank or credit union. So, how that's going to go, I don't know. I mean, as you all know, the pipeline is clogged up right now. I hear they've cleared 100. What's the latest number I might have heard? 110 billion they've already allocated. I know some institutions are waiting to process existing applications, trying to get in the pipeline before taking new. And I'm not even talking about taking new customers to a bank. I'm talking about taking new applications from existing customers. So trying to clear that backlog right now. So anyway, that's the latest I'm hearing on that. Would certainly be curious if anyone has any comments, but that sort of wait and see situation is really what we're hearing right now. And then the last couple things I want to mention before we go to Q&A, and I've talked about this too, but I want to reiterate, Durand, City of Durand and the Chamber have come up with a small grant program, $1,000 to help small business in the area. That is available. I'm going to actually send out an email with details on that a little bit later today. So if there's anyone in Durand that is looking for some dollars, or if you know a small business in Durand, take a look at that. And then also Owasso has an application out for an emergency loan program for businesses in their commercial zoning districts. So that's $5,000 for that. So jobs, I touch on this all the time. If any companies out there are looking to hire, please let us know. We'll be happy to share that with our network and promote on social media. And then the last thing I want to mention, next Tuesday, we are going to have Senator Stabenow on. So We had Senator Peters 2 days ago. We had Congressman Molinar yesterday, and we will have Senator Stabenow next Tuesday. So please mark that in your calendar. With that, I will open up the floor for comments and questions. A reminder, hit *6 if you want to comment. So go ahead.
Hey, Justin.
Yeah.
Colleen.
Yeah.
I have a question about the new extended stay-at-home order.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the new stay-at-home order said that landscaping is not essential. How does that affect the city of Owasso and people that have to get their lawns mowed? I know as a business, we contract our lawn mowing. If landscapers aren't allowed to work, what are we going to do as we get closer to May and everybody's grass is knee-high?
Well, and if anyone has any comments, jump in. But unfortunately, my understanding is if you, as a person or as a business, contract with a lawn care service, they are not allowed to do it. You can mow your own lawn if you have your own lawnmower, but if you contract that out, that is not an eligible thing. So it cannot be done, according to the governor's order. Yeah, I mean, the grass is starting to green up. It's going to start to grow. But at least as the order stands right now, until the end of the month, those lawns are not supposed to be touched. So we'll see if anything changes. There's obviously a lot of outcry about that particular issue. But as of this morning, there's no change. So at this point, it's just going to have to grow.
Okay. Are they going to suspend penalties then, do you know, as far as the city and enforcement?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if City Manager Nathan Henney's on the call or any other city officials are on the call. I do know there might be some other city officials, maybe not Owasso, on the call too. I don't know what other policies are going to be in Shiawassee County as far as mowing ordinance. I would assume, and I don't want to put words in our government officials' mouths here, but I would assume if the state is saying, you can't have commercial lawn care service, I would assume that the locals will not penalize you for that. But good question, Colleen. Other comments or questions? And reminder, put *6 if you do want to comment on anything. Okay. One last call for any comments or questions.
Justin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Justin, this is Rex Wheeler, Wheeler Trucking. I just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say thank you to you and your team for being here for us every day, getting through all of this. No surprise to me with everything you and your team's always done for us out here, at the far eastern side of Shiawassee County. I just want to say thank you. This is important that you're trying to maneuver us and getting these people from our state on the line so we can ask questions and lean on them and get through this. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Rex. And yeah, be on the call next week because we're going to talk to Senator Stabenow too. So
I'm on here every day, Monday through Friday. Just try to stay quiet.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate the partnership and friendship. Any other questions before we wrap up? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend, and we will be back with you on Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you.